So how do you reflect and why is it important? So before I go any further, let me talk about why it's important to reflect. So I recently just discovered that actually a lot of people don't reflect once they get off the mats. They simply come to training, roll, and go home. They literally don't think about jiu-jitsu once they get off the mats, which is insane to me because I reflect a lot. Especially after a competitive roll, where I'm going toe-to-toe with someone and there's lots of reversals and a lot of things happening. And within those rolls, if something bothered me, it will actually bother me for a very long time until I find a solution for it. I'll be on YouTube for hours looking for a solution. So I would say this is an extreme case where something actually sticks out and straight up just bothered me. So what should you do if nothing stuck out and nothing bothered you? So if this happens a lot to you, reflecting is probably something you should do more often. So why is it important to reflect if you don't do it already? Like I mentioned earlier, it's just a way to think about jiu-jitsu even after you're off the mats. If you never reflected on a sparring round, you're definitely leaving a lot of opportunities for improvement on the table. Reflecting is arguably one of the most effective ways to improve yourself in anything. It's almost like training without being on the mats. So these are some reasons why I actually like the process of reflecting. It actually helps you to be more self-aware. When you see a coach demonstrating a technique, you want to replicate it as closely as possible. And for any reason why it doesn't work for you, you have to modify it to suit yourself. So for example, if your coach is very tall with very long legs, you might not be able to make it work the same way that they do, but you should be able to make small adjustments to make it work for yourself. It's actually a really good way to solve problems. For example, if you encounter any issues while you're rolling, you should be thinking of ways to deal with it next time you encounter the same problem. And this way you can start the troubleshooting process as soon as you get off the mat. Of course, when it's still fresh in your mind. Having a reflection is actually really good for yourself to think about whether you have achieved a single goal. And if you don't have a goal, it's a good way to start setting goals for your next roll. And of course, reflecting shouldn't just be about your problems. It should also be about the things that you did well. Things to celebrate and to think about your next milestone. Every milestone should be marked off and celebrated. So how do I actually reflect? Okay, so it's impossible to remember everything in a roll, let alone trying to reflect on something that happened so quickly. I mean, it might be easier if you only had 1 or 2 rolls, but even that, it could be quite difficult to remember everything. But of course, unless you actually recorded the roll, it's actually quite difficult. Later in this video, I'll talk a little bit about recording your own rolls. So what do you do when you don't have a camera rolling? How do you reflect on your sparring rounds then? Because obviously you can't record every single round. So what I normally do is I remember highlights of a roll, or anything that actually stood out to me. For example, if someone managed to trap me in a half guard and I can't get myself out of it, that might actually be something that I will remember, because that will frustrate me so much at that moment that I will remember it. Or if they catch a submission on a very unusual position, I'll remember that as well. I'll also remember whether something from a previous roll was addressed this time. Using the half guard for example, if I encountered this problem last time, I'll try to recall whether I managed to do something about it this time. Now the ultimate way to reflect is to actually record your rolls and go through it afterwards. This is good because you don't need to remember everything from your sparring round, because you can just rewatch it afterwards. I will actually rewatch some footages just to see if I could have done something differently and whether I could do something about it next time. The good thing about rewatching your own footage is you get to see your own sparring round at a different angle. You get to see where your limbs are and where their limbs are and how you reacted when certain things happen. I'm not sure if this actually changed your mind to do more reflecting. All I'm saying is if you're not reflecting after sparring, you're actually missing out on a lot of opportunities for improvement. That's all I have for today. If you like these content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.